We stand for pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Raven. Here. Mr. Phipps.
Here.
Mayor Hall.
Here. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be considered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody like to remove an item from that consent agenda? Hearing none, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November the 15th, 2022, the bills and payroll for the last half of November 2022, the home rehab payments, resolution number 2022-3223, approving the continuance of a local state of emergency due to coronavirus COVID-19. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. And roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Raven. Yes. Mr. Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Presentations, petitions, and communications. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. Illinois Open Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on the agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing the council are requested to limit their presentation to 3 minutes and avoid repetitious comments. We would also ask that you state your name and address for the record as well as stand when speaking. Would anybody present tonight like to speak to the council about anything? Yes, sir. Would you come to the mic? We have people online. So would your name?
John Durham.
Okay.
I live at 804 Lafayette Avenue, Mattoon. You know, my biggest complaint is, the mayor and I have had this talk time after time. All you ones that's been sitting on the board for a while ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Honestly, have you looked at this town lately?
Never did.
Looks like a piece of white trash, don't it?
There's areas, yes.
No. There's not just areas. It's all over the place. And it's because you people will not tax the proper people in this city. If I worked at Walmart, and Walmart not paying any taxes to this town, me owning my house with what Walmart pays, the taxes I pay to the city of Mattoon and to the county and to the state of Illinois, I would be paying my own paycheck. Do you understand that? Go look at this house down here at 712 Wabash. It's got holes in it this big around. What happened to our nuisance department that went around and said something instead of me or somebody else having to bitch? I mean, really, come on. You know what I thought of our last mayor, and he knew what I thought of him. And he's another reason for this place to be in a shithole. I mean, you allowed a chief of police by the name of Jeff Branson run this town for how long? And then you turned around and recommended him to be out there.
Okay.
And he's still taking my tax dollars. You understand what I'm saying? The stuff starts right here. The corruption that was on the police department started with you people at that time that was sitting up here. You refused to look into it. We've got a judge that's sitting on the bench right now that refused to look into it. So, that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Next item. Anybody else like to address the council? Everybody okay?
Anybody online?
No.
Anybody online?
Yeah, does anybody on the line like to address the council? Okay, hearing none. All right. We don't have, even though the audit presentation's on the agenda for this time, we are going to delay that. So we start with the first new business item, and we'll start with Commissioner Graven.
Okay, I make a motion to adopt Special Ordinance 2022-1843, levying taxes for all corporate purposes for the fiscal year beginning May 1, 2022, and ending April 30th, 2023.
Can we get a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any questions or comments?
So I passed around a worksheet I put together comparing the 2022 levy with the 2021 levy. You'll see the preliminary levy in the first line. After PTEL is applied, I have an estimated calculation of what I think will be collected for 2022. And then the tax rate last year was roughly 2.28% versus 2.31% for 2022. And I calculated the difference for a home valued at $100,000 with a homestead exemption. And the increase comes out to be $7.39 year over year. And then below, I scheduled out the pension contributions for police and for fire. The actuary gives us a statutory minimum, which we've been following that for the past several years just because of budget constraints. They also recommend a higher contribution. That's the second line. And then what I'm projecting for the 2022 levy, the property tax portion and then the personal property replacement tax. So it looks like we'll be gaining some ground with the 2022 levy in the pension contribution area. And I don't have it scheduled out, but I would say that for the current year, the police contribution is budgeted at just under 2.4 million, and the fire just over 2.7 million. So it's slightly over 1. So it does look like we will be able to get ahead slightly in the pension contributions.
Okay.
Is that the first time you recall, when was the last time you recall being able to say that? When was the last fiscal year that we were projected to gain some ground on the
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it'd been several years at least, so.
We,
Main sources of contribution are the property tax levy and the personal property replacement tax we get from the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Then we do 10% of video gaming to each fund. And then this year we budgeted another 50,000 per fund.
So we've always paid above the statutory minimum, but usually we have not been able to pay more than the recommended. And I think this is the
We've never been at the point where we've been able to make the recommended.
yeah. So this year we actually get a bit more than that. So
any other questions, comments?
Just, Beth, on the, I assume this, is this under the assumption that the EAV is as what was reported by the county assessor?
I got the information from the assessor at the end of September. And she was reluctant to give me information because they were preliminary.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if the reassessed values are reflected or not. My guess would be that they're not, which would be beneficial for the city
If they're not
if they come in
included?
higher.
Yeah.
than what I used for my calculations.
So in your opinion, based on what you know, this is probably a conservative assessment then, if there's no adjustments? There was some multipliers in some areas, I know, but I don't know how you account for that either.
Right. Every year I do an estimate of what I think we will collect. And I've always been very close.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's my part or just the numbers happen to fall that way. But I think this is a reasonable estimate.
Yeah.
It could be conservative.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Now we,
We never vote.
you mean?
Roll.
Right. Now we have roll call now.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Graven?
Yes.
Mr. Phipps?
Yes.
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1844, granting a special use for the purpose of a solar farm located at 422 Progress Drive with a decommissioning bond to be filed with the state of Illinois and Department of Agriculture. Petitioner is Progress Solar 1 LLC and Progress Solar 2 LLC, part of 060000160-003. And I need a second on that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any questions, any comments on this?
Just that it did go to the planning commission. We have granted 2 special use for this in the past, back in 2018 and also in 2020. So the state of Illinois just hasn't granted some of these solar projects. So they're doing that again this year. And so everybody's been applying for these as well. So as the state starts granting these, we've had several of them come in. We'll see some of these possibly develop. So.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, a roll call.
Mr. Graven?
Yes.
Mr. Phipps?
Yes.
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes. I move to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1845, granting a special use permit at 900 North 33rd Street for the purpose of operating a daycare center. Petitioner is Angela Pearson. And a second on that one.
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any comments on this one?
Angela has done 2 or 3 of these in the past. She's ran some successful daycare centers. And then this is just an extension of the one that is at 33rd and Moultrie. This one is down on 33rd and 33rd Street, just north of DeWitt, a couple blocks. And this building itself has been used, special uses for churches and daycares before. I think even at one time, the chamber owned it at one time. So it's never been a residence, even though it is in a residential area. And again, we've granted special uses there. No problems with parking or anything like that.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
What did the planning commission, did they pass this, I assume?
Yeah, for both those, they've unanimously approved them.
Any other questions? You thinking, Commissioner Cox? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right. So roll call then. Roll call. I heard it.
Yes.
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Graven?
Yes.
Mayor Hall?
Yes.
Move to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1846, authorizing the sale of surplus real estate located south of the yard waste facility to Portugal Properties LLC, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign all documents necessary to complete the transaction. Portion of 06-0-00662-000.
A second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments on this one?
Again, this is just a portion of our yard waste facility that is on an opposite side of the fence that we use. It's been kind of used by the other property to the north for several years. And so we decided to surplus it and put it up for sale.
And we expect that property to be used in the near future once we get this taken care of. Is that correct?
Yes, it will. go with the property to the north.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call?
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2022-3224, approving the update to the mutual aid box alarm system, MABUS Intergovernmental Agreement 2022, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Comments? Anybody?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, second from that one.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Phipps, and now comments.
This is just an updated resolution to what we already have on file that MABUS requires. The changes in it had to do with bordering towns on state lines within the state. And then, in addition to making it easier to recoup federal monies when teams are deployed out of state. So the original one was drawn up in late 80s, early 90s. So this is just an update to that.
Any other questions, comments? And now we'll do roll call.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I move to adopt resolution number 2022-3225, accepting the $100,000 grant from the Lumpkin Family Foundation for tree planting from 2023 to 2027, and authorizing the matching city funds in the amount of $5,000 per year for a period of 5 years from 2023 to 2027 for a total of $25,000.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Commissioner Phipps? And any comments on that?
We were approached by the Lumpkin family 3 years ago with the idea that they wanted to start funding some tree planting around town. And our general goal for the past 3 years and for this 5 years looking forward is planting 50 trees a year. We've planted 150 trees in the last 3 years. This funding will enable us to do that for the next 5. The big round number of $100,000.
Good deal. Any other questions, comments? And roll call.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
A motion to approve council decision request 2022-2309, authorizing the employment of Todd Wright to the Public Works Department Labor Pool as Maintenance Worker 3, position effective December 12th, 2022, pending drug test and background checks.
And a second on that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments that we have on this?
Yeah, we have had fantastic success in the last 12 months hiring people. It's really difficult in 2021 to get people. Everyone hears that all around town, no matter where you're working. This is our, I don't even know,
You said
fifth
Yeah.
hire in the last 12 months. Todd has been in the laborers unions for 22 years as a mason's tender for Autobahn Construction. Fantastic steel for us. He wants to work closer to home. So having 10 hours a day to get to job sites, and just really fortunate, and goes along really well with the other hires we've been able to do.
And the hires that you're talking about are really replacements of people that have left or are leaving.
Yes,
Yeah.
not are leaving.
Or have left. Okay. So,
Past.
so we're not talking about any headcount increases at this point. Okay. So, all right, roll call.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve council decision request 2022-2310, approving the appointment of John Coyne to the Mattoon Arts Council, MAC, with a term ending September 30th, 2023.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any comments on this position?
other than his experience and background and so forth comes highly recommended, and they're excited to have him volunteer his time and talents and join the Arts Council.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Clausen.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Graven.
Yes.
Mr. Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2022-2311, authorizing the employment of Trevor L. Nicholson as a probationary patrol officer with the Mattoon Police Department effective January the 8th, 2023, contingent on passage of all background, physical, and psychological exams. Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and comments?
Yes, I do. Trevor Nicholson comes to us. He's originally from the Flora, Illinois area. His father is a retired law enforcement officer, so it's in the family. He's an EIU graduate, majored in criminal justice. He pitched for the Panthers. I'm going to brag on him a little bit here. He's somewhat of a stud. Left-handed pitcher for the Panthers. Could have gone pro. Didn't. Wanted to be a cop instead, so I give him credit for that. He'll start the academy. It would be, well, the date of the hire, January 8th. He'll spend 16 weeks there and then 4 months on field training. And this would be to replace Captain Cobb, who will be retiring.
Okay. Now Trevor's here, of course, and you've told Trevor that he was to have a speech prepared, right?
Yeah.
So now I say this all the time to all the new officers that come on board, and so far no one's taken me up. So if you don't really want to say anything, or you can introduce who's here with you, maybe, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Do you want me to come up? Or?
You got
stand up right
there. You know, this is good. I like it.
Hey, we got one to go up there.
Yeah. Far right is my mom, Carla Nicholson, my dad, John
Yep.
Nicholson, my brother, Kyle, my girlfriend, Mariah Sellers, and her parents, Mark and Carrie Sellers, they're from Terre Haute. And I know I'm excited for this opportunity, and I appreciate your guys' vote, and excited to serve the people of Mattoon and serve under Chief Gates, and I just appreciate your time.
Well, we haven't voted yet, so we're. Yeah. So far, you're doing well, though. So you just sit down. You know.
Oh, boy.
You know, just a reflection. Your parents are here, which is outstanding.
Yes.
You know,
Well.
every young man or young lady that grow up are successful because of their parents. I know you do a part of it, but your parents do a lot of it. So we certainly appreciate that. So now we get to vote. So we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Graven.
Yes.
Mr. Phipps.
Yes.
Mr. Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
One quick question. Sam, are you trying to start the softball competition
I was
between
going
you and?
I was actually wondering the same thing. A little ringer going on there.
It just sounds like.
Mattoon police are now favored.
Well, they've always been favored, but still.
We've always been favored.
Oh, is that right?
There were a couple years.
Okay.
All right.
I think I better move ahead here, Mayor.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
I move to approve council decision request 2022-2312, approving the appointment of firefighter Richard Hirschberger to regular employment status with successful completion of his probationary period effective December 17th, 2022.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Phipps seconded that, and now we'll do any comments. It's your turn.
Yes, Ricky came to us obviously December of last year, completed Fire Academy in the spring, and he got outstanding reviews from the instructors. He shows up to work with a excellent attitude and has a great work ethic, and I'm proud to have him and excited to what he could do here for us in the future.
It's a year.
Yes.
He's right back there.
Yep.
So now, did you say anything to him about speaking?
I wanted it to be a total surprise.
I did let the cat out of the bag beforehand, and he was pretty adamant. He said no.
Okay, you're just.
But you have another shot if you'd like to say.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, it's okay. Cool. All right, good. All right, good deal. So we'll go ahead and take roll call then. This might have an impact on this decision. Go ahead.
Commissioner Graven,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I move to approve council decision request 2022-2313, waiving the formal bidding requirement and approving the price quote in the amount of $1.49 per pound from Water Solutions Unlimited for powdered activated carbon for water treatment.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and any comments about this? What, nothing? All right. Roll call then.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Get my glasses on here. Make a motion to approve council decision request 2022-2314, approving a $6,000 grant by the Tourism Advisory Committee from FY 22-23 Hotel Motel Tax Funds to the Mattoon Youth Wrestling Club in support of the Mattoon Invitational Wrestling Tournament to be held on January 8th, 2023, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Phipps, and any comments anybody has?
And Julie is not here, but yeah, I was at the meeting. Everybody voted for this. They bring in, I think they said between 500 and 700 wrestlers
Yeah.
in this tournament. It's very well received.
Which has quite a bit of history too. I think
Yeah.
it's been hosted 12 years, last 12 years, if I remember.
Right. And then usually it does create a lot of stays because they weigh in, most of the weigh-ins the night before. So then they spend the night, eat at our hotels because after they weigh in, then they can eat as much as they want. So they do spend some good money here in Mattoon. So good tournament.
Okay. And any other comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. And the last motion tonight, I move to approve council decision request 2022-2315, ratifying the reappointment of Jeff Collings, Mark Cox, Kirk Miller to the Public Works Advisory Board with term to expire on December the 31st of 2025. Can I get a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and let's see, any comments? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. And next is department reports, and we're going to start with the city administrator and community development, Kyle Gill.
In the last 3 weeks, we had interest arb with the fire department, which we won't really hear anything until probably February on that, whether it be two-year, 4-year contract. I was off the week of Thanksgiving, still had a couple meetings that I'd met with some churches and some other things, but spent most of the time at home. Last week, the mayor and I and Dan attended a Liquor Control Commission appeal for the Great Food and Spirits liquor license that we revoked. Again, that one will probably be end of January, February before we hear the results of that. Susan and I conducted some interviews for the open position in the city clerk's office, and we're going to do some second interviews tomorrow. And then in the economic development and community development, we've had 32 permits in the last 3 weeks, and working on some demolitions. Things are slowing down a little bit, so we're trying to focus on demolitions, and that 712 Wabash is one of them that we have on our list to try to go for demolition for, open and abandoned. And then I've talked to a couple of different development brokers in the last few days, one of them today and one last week, looking at different lots and wanting to, between the two of them, there was 4 different businesses that they were looking at on the east side of town. So trying to find land to develop.
Okay. Any questions for Kyle? And next we'll go to City Attorney Dan Jones.
Just to follow up on the liquor control hearing, that was done remotely, and 2 of the liquor control commissioners were present They got a chance to ask questions. There'll be a transcript prepared of the hearing. The transcript will go to all of the liquor control commissioners, and I don't even know how many there are. There are several divisions. This was the law division. And the commissioners will meet in January. They'll discuss this case, they'll vote, and then we'll probably hear sometime in February their decision. So, also last week we had a hearing in the Quackenbush matter. Unfortunately, Tim has been very seriously ill. In the hospital, was not able to participate. And so Judge Bovard decided to continue things. We're having our hearing, I think, January 21 or 27, but late January is when it's been continued to. So, and I'll report back after that. Happy to answer any other questions.
Any other questions? Okay, next is City Clerk Susan O'Brien.
For the most part, I've been processing the insurance renewals and answering many questions from our groups.
Okay.
That's all I have to.
Any questions? Finance, Beth Wright.
On November 23rd, we received the final installment of the 2021 property tax. And the total collected was 99.665% of the amount that was levied. So a really good collection rate. In turn, I distributed from the TIF funds 20% of the taxes received to the other taxing bodies. You'll see that in the council packet for tonight. You'll also see that we paid, or are paying, the next to last principal installment on the 2014 general obligation refunding bond. That was for the sewer fund. And the balance on that is $293,550. So it's nice to see that end in sight. On revenue tracking, the items that are new in terms of major sources of revenue are the property taxes I just mentioned, utility tax for the month of November, video gaming tax for December, and personal property replacement tax for December. So year to date compared to the year prior, we're ahead by about $824,000. So it's holding steady. And the unrestricted cash in the general fund as of today is 10.835 million. And 3 weeks ago, it was 11.485. But we haven't received sales tax yet. That should come in any day now.
Okay. Any questions offhand? Next is Public Works, Dean Barber.
Whitney and I are working on a grant application for the Little Wabash Drainage Project. We have a public meeting as part of the Public Works Advisory Board next Tuesday, 5:30 in this room. Public's invited. We'll be going over the project, making really good progress on design work for projects next year, including the streetscaping downtown and the sidewalk project by Riddle Elementary. That's all I have to report unless there are any questions.
Any questions? All right, so next is Fire Department, Chief Hildos.
I'd like to start off, congratulations, Trevor, welcome aboard. Look forward to working with you. Reggie, congratulations. Look forward to continuing working with you. And then our other one, Todd, I've known Todd many years, and that is an excellent steal that we got. He's a good kid. Since our last meeting, the guys have answered 170 calls for service. The inspectors have done 9 different inspections and follow-ups. A lot of their time was spent at the new hotel, getting that, everything finalized for them out there. They've done their airport rescue ARF training, EMS training, and then did a hands-on training down at the training building, doing search and rescue evolutions. I've been working on day-to-day stuff. Like Kyle said, we had the arbitration a few weeks ago. That's about all I've got unless anybody has any questions for me.
Okay. Police Chief Sam Gaines.
You guys continue to do a good job, work hard. Had 1,451 calls for service, and it would be in the last 3 weeks since we last met. 67 arrests were made. That's all I've got to report.
And anything on arts and tourism? Do you have anything offhand?
I do.
Okay.
A couple things to report here. Lightworks numbers are at or slightly below 2021, which was a banner year, so that's not really anything of surprise, but we do have 20 days remaining. Still getting a lot of traffic and a lot of positive feedback on Lightworks. We currently have a 30-plus wait list of interested businesses and organizations who want to be sponsors of Lightworks in the future. The Mattoon Arts Council has 3 more Secret Santa shows this week in the Lone Elm Room. Tickets are just $10 and very talented group of people. So encourage you to go downtown and in the Lone Elm Room in the train depot and see a nice Christmas performance. Angelia participated in the Business Navigator Alliance of Southeastern and Central Illinois Holiday Happening webinar promoting the Mattoon holiday events here recently. Both tourism and arts are working on a full 2023 calendar of events, adding bagel bites and arts workshops to the calendar. So look forward to seeing a full display of what's going on in the coming year. And I do want to mention that we want to recognize the Celebrate Downtown Christmas, which was last week and last Friday. And that was started in 2008 by Barb McKenzie and Janice Mortz from the, at that time, they were on the Festival Management Group, formerly part of Mattoon Tourism. So it's just, it's always interesting to see some of the small ideas and how they branch into something bigger and become pretty much a tradition here in town and something that a lot of people look forward to. And if you weren't able to go downtown last Friday, you always miss something with the Celebrate Downtown Christmas, although it was very windy, but it's wintertime and it's Christmas season. So we appreciate all the volunteers and the work that they put in to make it a good community.
Okay. So any questions about tourism, arts? Last item on the agenda is comments by council members, and we'll start with Jim Clausen.
Again, congratulations, Trevor, Ricky, welcome aboard. The only thing I have, we had a meeting with Dean Barber recently and kind of went through the capital improvement projects for the next 1 to 3 years. So we got a pretty good plan on some streets and alleys and other things. So Dean laid out a very good aggressive plan for those years.
Okay. Any questions for Commissioner Clausen? Next is Dave Cox.
Again, Ricky, Trevor, welcome. Congratulations on completing your probation and welcome to Mattoon. Wish you both a long and prosperous and healthy, good career here. And I know you're both going to do great things. So and it's really nice to see your family and everybody here too. So appreciate you all being here. Did have the opportunity since our last council meeting to attend the library fundraiser event downtown. And wow, we've got a great library. You know, a lot of times people think, are libraries still useful? Are they outdated and so forth? There is a lot of good programs and just fantastic things to utilize in our library. And I would encourage everybody to spend a little bit of time and just go visit and see what's there. Because Carl and Chris Surdick, Carl Walworth, Chris Surdick, and all the staff there do a great job. And it was a lot of fun and a good event that evening. That's it.
Any questions for Commissioner Cox? Commissioner Graven?
Congratulations, gentlemen, for full-time status and welcome aboard to Mattoon. Great town. Mr. Chief Hilligoss, I hate to break it to you, but it was not the police department that I saw at Holy Moly Donuts. It was the fire department.
I was firing for the police department.
Yeah, here we go.
So you can no longer rat
I was just
on,
trying to support them. They are good donuts, by the way.
you can no longer rag on the police department. So, anyway, that's all I have.
What do they pay
Of
you?
all people to see me going.
It was approximately 6:30 on a Wednesday morning.
How many dozens of donuts did he carry out? Do you know?
I didn't know, I didn't wait. They were standing in line. There was.
That wasn't, I thought you saw me. I went in there.
No, this was the fire truck and the guys were parked, the fire truck parked there, the guys were out there.
I thought I got busted.
No, your
Because I
guy.
was in there
Oh.
the night of the parade.
Wow.
Friday.
So you're off the hook, Chief Gates. That's all I
Okay.
have.
They're just doing inspections, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Trevor, welcome. Ricky, welcome. Congratulations. I was able to go to the mall. They had the artisan show, and I guess that's quadrupled or so from the last few years. So it was really nice. Other than that, I have nothing. It was very good showing.
Okay, last is me. Before you guys get out of here, I'd like to speak for you just a minute. You're still hired, you know, you don't have to worry about that. But I would like to talk to you for just a minute before I get out of here. And today I attended with several other, Kyle was there, but there's a big turnout for the ribbon cutting for the Hyatt Gardens Inn. And in fact, one of the biggest turnouts we've had for Gardens Inn. We had a lot of people there that from all over the state that came to see that. That's always a big improvement. That's been a long-term project for that construction out there, but now it's up and running and we got people staying there and that's very good. I happened to go visit with the plant manager for Beambo Bakeries on the west side of Mattoon. He plans to add lines to that production operation out there and grow that business. He's got a lot of exciting ideas out there. We're going to be spending more time with him and what he might do for the city. And they're also looking at making donations to the sports complex. We've already mentioned Holy Moly has opened up their donut shop and they got grins on both those guys. I thought it was over the police, but apparently the firemen have the same problem. And let's see. Another thing I want to mention, we have a very active housing group of Mattoon in Motion. And I think we're going to see some big housing improvements. We do have problems with some housing that we've got. Those things are not easy to get through. We talked about that a little bit tonight. We've got a list of houses that we'd like to take down. The average cost of tearing down a house is roughly $10,000. That goes on the city. A lot of times we end up acquiring those properties over a very extended period of time. The courts tie up those things forever. Not your fault, Dan, but still, they are tied up for a long time, and we are making improvements there. Kyle and I made a trip over to the old Brown Shoe Factory. While we were there, that's an old abandoned building that's been there for a while. They were working on it, tearing it down while we were present. We'd like to get that building down. It's an eyesore. It's not real visible, but it's still an eyesore to the community, and we need to clean it up. So we're working on those things. So I think we got a lot of good things going in our community, even though we don't get to everything. And we're going to work on that. If someone wants to write us a check, a really big check with a lot of zeros, we can tear down all the bad houses. But
the right people with help.
yeah, we're working on that too. So anyway, that's all I got. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Cox, the second?
Second it.
Okay, which one?
Mr. Phipps.
Commissioner Phipps and roll call.
Mr. Graven.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, what?
I said yes.
want to make sure I heard you right.
Yep, you did.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. You can adjourn.
Caught me off guard.
Seeing you.
Right.